want to tell you this is actually 3 videos put together. This is my video on the history of SOSMULA, all the beefs of SOSMULA, and Squid Nice versus SOSMULA put together into one package, the full story of SOSMULA. So if anything doesn't flow perfectly together, that's why. I just wanted to put it all together into one story. If anything else is added, I'll add that later on into the video. But for now, just enjoy. Thank you very much. Shout out Knife Gang.
Circle.
I got one gun charge, and all my shit was like drug charges, like to sell crack, man.
SOSMULA is a rapper who is not often spoken of when mentioning the legends of SoundCloud rap, which to me seems like an injustice, as his musical style has actually helped mold entire genres in the New York scene. He's one half of the rap group known as City Morgue, but is often put in the shadow of his friend and collaborator Zilla Kami. This seems to mostly come down to the fact that not a lot is known about SOSMULA, so in this video I'm going to try and explain the unorthodox rise to fame that he's had. SOSMULA was born Vinicius Sosa in 1988, and holy crap, this guy's a lot older than I expected. I've also heard that he was born in 1994, but there seems to be conflicting opinions about this, so I'll just say 1988 as that seems to be the most common one I see. He was originally born in Brazil, living there throughout his younger years before later immigrating to Manhattan at the age of 8. His dad would get a construction job and his mom would open up a tattoo shop. His dad would work long shifts at his construction job, so he would barely see Sos when he was growing up. So Sos would end up spending more time at his mother's tattoo shop. This would keep him out of trouble a lot in his early life, but at the age of 12, his mother would actually move back to Brazil, leaving Sos to basically fend for himself. This led Sos to have a pretty hard upbringing. He would skip school as often as he could and started rolling with the local street gangs in New York at the age of only 13. Anytime he was in school, he would spend his time freestyling and honing his skills as a rapper. Sos was pretty talented at rapping, but he never really had the confidence to go all the way with it. This would lead his friends to give him the name Sos in grade 10, and it stuck with him. Along with Sos's love for money, he would combine the word Mula with Sos to make his rap name, SOSMULA. As time went on, his passion for rapping would start to fade and his passion for selling crack would start to bloom. He would get mixed up with the MBF, Macabella family, and start getting in trouble. But a more unknown part of the SOSMULA story is that he actually ran with the Rolling 40 Crips before he was MBF. He would join up with his friends Charlie C and One Shot Deals, and you can actually see Charlie in the back of the M80 video, and Sos even raps about being a Crip in his All Birds freestyle back when he had his street rap style instead of his more well-known scream rap. This is also where he would meet his day one homie Woozy, and at the time Sosa's going by the name Vinny Sosa and hanging with a group known as Rider Gang. This is where he dropped his first ever song, Glass House. It's crazy to think that Sosa's actually rapping almost 6 whole years before Zilla Kami ever made his first song. Rider Gang was basically comprised of a bunch of Crips, and they were just an underground rap movement that was trying to make it big, but they never really went anywhere. Later on, One Shot Deals and Sos would actually have friction between them after Mula would leave the group and become a Blood, and that led One Shot Deal to actually drop a diss track on Mula. Mula would write and record a retaliation track, but didn't drop it for unknown reasons. Years and years later, the two would actually squash the beef at 2019 Rolling Loud. Sos had beefs with many of his past collaborators, but there's too many to name right now, but if you're interested in a whole video on that topic, I can definitely do that. But right now, let's head back to 2010 when Woozy and Sos would commit countless robberies together, making hundreds of dollars off of selling crack, and just in general, they were living high. That would all change at the age of 16 though, when Sos was caught with a gun charge. He managed to skirt jail time because it was his first offense, but around the same time, his friend Woozy was attempting to rob a liquor store and was caught by an off-duty cop who ended up shooting and killing him. This made Sos consider going straight for a short time. He worked with his father on his construction projects for about 1 week before deciding he couldn't work a regular job and headed back to the streets. At the age of 17, Sos would get caught selling crack, catching his second charge. The cops weren't so lenient this time though, and they would actually lock him up for an entire 18 months. This is where he would join the East Side Brims under the Macabella family umbrella and become a full-on Blood. 18 months later, when Sos got free, he headed right back to the streets, getting locked up over and over for drug-related offenses. He would violate his parole 4 more times, eventually landing himself 11 more months in prison. After being released, the cycle would continue. Sos went right back to trapping, and the police actually ended up raiding his house and catching him with drugs. He would catch another gnarly charge and end up fighting this case for almost 2 years. Mula knew he wanted this to be his final jail term, as he was just wasting too much of his life in prison. He decided to move to Brooklyn for a new start to try to stay out of trouble. Sos would work at his mom's tattoo shop for a short time, and this is where he would meet his fellow employee. You may have heard of him before. His name is Righteous P. The two would quickly make a connection, and Righteous P would tell him about the rap group that he was creating known as Scum Squad. This involved his little brother Zilla Kami and the other rapper Tekashi 69. Sos would want to get on board with this right away and actually ended up showing up as a cameo in the music video for Shimigami by Tekashi 69. He was officially part of the Scum Squad, and they were ready to make a track including 69, Zilla, and Sos all all together, but before that can happen, 6ix9ine was locked up on a child predator charge. This would happen when SOSMULA would connect Tekashi 6ix9ine with his friend Tay Millie. Tay and 6ix9ine would make a track together and then immediately go back to SOSMULA's house to have a party. This is where they would run into the 13-year-old girl that they would take compromising pictures of. You can actually see SOSMULA appear as a cameo in one of Tay Millie's music videos. This would create some friction between SOSMULA and Tekashi 6ix9ine as the whole situation happened at Sos's house with his friend. But however Sos felt about the situation at the time didn't seem to matter. Zilla P and himself would actually gather money together to help bail 6ix9ine out of jail. A couple months later, the group would prepare to finally drop their song together, Sinaloa. However, before that could happen, 6ix9ine and Zilla would actually fall out, leaving Sos once again snubbed. On top of that, Sos was actually found guilty in his ongoing trial for his prior drug offenses and spent 9 months locked up from 2015 to 2016. The timeline on this is a little weird. He was definitely there for the Shimigami music video, and then I assume he was locked up directly after, locked up around the same time as Tekashi 6ix9ine, and then they both came home around the same time to start shooting the Sinaloa music videos. Either way, no matter how it happened, Righteous P kept in contact with Sos the entire time he was in jail, and they were getting ready to make an even bigger movement once he was released. And even though the beef that tore the Scum Gang apart was mostly between Zilla and 6ix9ine, 6ix9ine wasn't above throwing a couple shots at Mula as well, calling him a fake blood, saying his dad was a crackhead, and even dissing him on a song Gummo. I'd say shout out SOSMULA, but I fucked that man's bitch, and we would all probably just think that this was just a random diss that 6ix9ine threw, but apparently 6ix9ine actually did sleep with SOSMULA's baby mother in 2017. At least that's what he said. Who knows if it's true. 6ix9ine would even get a couple guys to run up on Sos and try to fight him, but Sos didn't want to go back to jail, so he just fled the scene. Mula, on the other hand, barely spoke on 6ix9ine. He would retaliate one time against 6ix9ine in an Instagram story, flirting with Sarah Molina, who's 6ix9ine's baby mother. He was initially quiet on the subject, but Sarah would repost one of Sos's songs, and he couldn't help himself. So he may or may not have fucked Tekashi's girl. Who knows? He only ever spoke on 6ix9ine one other time on a No Jumper interview, claiming 6ix9ine stole his style. He didn't really have much to say though. It was more Adam22 trying to prompt him for a response.
It's crazy to think though that when we did that first interview that it was like the 6ix9ine thing was just this big looming, you know, like you guys were popping off at that time, but that he was so big at that time. Fast forward a couple of years, he snitched. He went to prison for a little while, came out, nobody really gives a fuck about his music. It's like that whole chapter just kind of like passed by and you guys are still going strong.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, what's real is real. It is what it is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Anyways, back to 2016. 6ix9ine would leave the group behind and ended up taking the Scum Gang name with him. That would be the label that they had, and then the Scum Squad name would be the rap group that they formed. So he would take both of those names, leading Sos and Zula to have to rebrand. And this is where City Morgue was born. 6ix9ine's childhood friend, Scumbag Chad, would stick with City Morgue and start his own brand, Missing Since Thursday. This provided clothes and merch for the group. He's actually the one who created those iconic patch pants. Sos and Zilla began to drop tracks on SoundCloud throughout the year, dropping the visuals for Shiner 13 in early 2018 and appearing on the No Jumper podcast not long after. They would even drop a SoundCloud exclusive EP at the time known as Be Patient, but they would later take it down as at the time they were actually being scouted by Republic Records. They ended up signing to Republic Records under Righteous P's Hikari Ultra flag, and they would release their first ever commercial mixtape, City Morgue Volume 1, Hell or High Water, in mid-2018. They would follow that up with a Volume 2 in 2019 and a Volume 3 in 2021. Between those releases, they would actually drop a tape known as Toxic Boogaloo. It was made exclusively to be played at shows, and a lot of the songs on the tape were actually disses aimed at 6ix9ine. After proof of him snitching came to light, the two would tour all over the country, getting on Grade A's tour with big names like Juice WRLD and Shoreline Mafia. They got a lot of their money off of touring, so when the pandemic hit, it really cut their bag off. Two had nothing better to do than record tracks in the studio. Sos would claim that he actually recorded over 300 songs in 2020. When Sos was able to tour again, he would drop his first solo project, 13 Songs to Die To. Followed this up with Too High to Die in 2022. As things stand right now, the future of City Morgue is unknown. It seems the group is starting to split off from each other, but that's not a bad thing. They don't seem to have any bad blood between them. They just want to focus exclusively on their solo careers at the moment. As in my opinion, it seems that Zilla always gets more clout than Sos. So that's the story of SOSMULA, a career criminal turned hardcore metal rapper. His style has definitely changed the scene forever, and I would even say Sos has broken into the mainstream at this point. It's hard to say where Mula will go from here, as a mainstream rap will probably never accept his trap metal style, but that don't almost doesn't matter because Mula's fanbase is so strong and he's carved out such a good place for himself at the underground that he will never fade. It actually seems like his career is only continuing to grow at this point. He did his first solo show at the Gathering of the Juggalos and is actually getting ready to drop his next solo tape with big features from names like Riff Raff. So it seems like SOSMULA's career is actually growing by the day. I don't think anybody has to worry about him fading anytime soon, and we might see him even on bigger and bigger stages as time goes on. I for one am a big fan of the music, and I want to give a big shout out to the SOSMULA subreddit for helping me gather info for this video. They're real for that and one of the coolest fan bases I've ever been a part of. They're super welcoming and overall just a really cool group of people to talk to. So shout out to them one more time. Shout out SOSMULA. SOSMULA is a rapper known to be very chill despite his violent lyrics. He always seems to stay out of the way, not getting involved in theatrics or internet beef, but if you thought that, you may actually be wrong, as Sos actually has multiple mostly unknown beefs with many rappers and gangsters alike. So that's what we're here to do, take a look at the beefs that he's had over his life and career and try to figure out if he's the one who instigated them or if he just got caught up in some BS. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First up, we got SOSMULA vs 6ix9ine. This one I covered before in the past, so if you're interested in that, check out my video on the beef between Zilla and 6ix9ine to understand it more, but to sum it up quick, 6ix9ine got caught up in some pretty nasty charges. He got caught taking a video of an underage girl in a compromising position, and he did this alongside another rapper known as Tay Millie, and it all went down at SOSMULA's party. Basically, SOSMULA would throw a party at his house where he'd introduce Tay Millie to 6ix9ine, and then afterwards Tay Millie would bring a young girl over, and then 6ix9ine would take the video of her, and it all just went on from there. Now I know what you're thinking, Tekashi is a notorious liar when it comes to his past beefs, and he might just be making this up to make SOSMULA look bad. If you actually look at one of Tay Millie's past music videos, you can see that SOSMULA has a cameo in the video, showing for a fact that they actually were friends in the past. 6ix9ine would then go to jail for this, and after he was released, he became pretty resentful towards SOSMULA because he blamed him for the whole situation going down. 6ix9ine ended up dropping SOSMULA and Zilla as crew members, and he would later diss Sos on his song Gummo, but he actually removed this diss before the song actually officially came out. In this song, he would claim to fuck SOSMULA's bitch, which actually may have some truth behind it, but we're not certain. SOSMULA would only clap back one time after Sarah Molina shared some of his music, and he couldn't help but take a shot at Tekashi, saying that he actually fucked her as well. So in this situation, we can definitely say that Sos was not the instigator, so that's 1 point for Sos. Just wanted to mention that one quick so nobody would bring it up and say I missed it. Up next is the beef that SOSMULA had with 6ix9ine's #1 op, Trippie Redd. This was a fairly simple beef. It just came down to the fact that Sos and Zilla were calling out Trippie for getting a scar tattoo that looked very similar to their own scar tattoos. Around this time, they were becoming very frustrated with mainstream rappers stealing the style of the underground community. They would take this frustration out on Trippie Redd, claiming that he jacked their style. Trippie would then retaliate, claiming his scar tattoo was actually meant to pay tribute to his dead brother who died in a car accident and had got a very similar scar to that one.
It's a scar. My brother, he had passed away in a car accident. And, they said his face is like scarred, right? So I just got a scar. Love scars.
Trippie would get that scar tattoo on his face to show that his brother's pain led through him. It seems at some point the two actually managed to make up, as an Instagram video would surface of Sos and Trippie chilling in a car and listening to music.
I'm the top shotty, I'm a shot caller. Sleezy, sleazy.
There's even some rumors that a song was created between the two that was supposed to appear on Trippie's Neon Shark album but never ended up dropping. However, Zilla did appear on Trippie's album a few years later after this beef. In this situation, it was mostly Zilla instigating the beef, so we can't really give a point to Sos or take one away from him, so we'll just say that this is neutral. Even recently, Sos would actually call out Chris Miles for getting the same scar tattoo, so it seems he's still pretty protective over his style. Next, we have a pretty silly one between Lil House Phone and City Morgue. House Phone basically called out Sos and Zilla for having terrible drip, and the two reacted accordingly.
Wait, you know who had the craziest fan base ever go crazy ever in my comments? City Morgue, bro.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Fucking
What, you
God.
talk shit about him?
Yeah, he
Nah,
wants to
look,
kill
look.
Zilla Common.
No.
We gotta remember to get back to MGK after this.
Yeah,
but okay.
we will. Okay, look. So basically, just some tweet popped up of like some clothes, somebody selling like some custom clothes, and I was just shitting on it. I was just talking shit, but I didn't know it had anything to do with them. It was like, I guess, one of their homies, like, who makes custom clothes for them, and just all the fucking the
fans.
All the fans just went crazy in my comments.
House Phone definitely instigated this one, and he's also dead wrong for dissing the Missing Since Thursday merch, and I respect him a lot less because of this. Next, now we're looking at the beef between Guap Mizzle and SOSMULA. Not much is known about this beef besides the fact that the two collabed on a song in 2019 called Dust. A few years later, a fan would ask Guap Mizzle to remix the song, but he replied saying that SOSMULA had actually disowned him, and the next time he saw him, he's going to braid his hair, which is code for saying that he's going to make Sos brain dead. This is the only knowledge we have on the beef, so we can't really make a definitive statement one way or the other, so we'll just say that nobody gets a point here. This beef also affected Sosa's relationship with another collaborator, Gotti Miranda. It seems that when the beef sparked between Guap and Sos, Gotti jumped on Guap's side. He would later diss SOSMULA and call him a little girl. He would talk openly about the situation in an interview clip.
The song that you had with the, is it SOSMULA or SOSMULA?
SOSMULA?
Yeah, like how did that come up?
Honestly, I go ahead and air it out right now. Like, we actually ended up falling off because, like, I opened up for 6ix9ine before.
Yeah.
And he did not like that. 6ix9ine, remember his rape charge?
Yeah.
Like the whole pedophile shit?
Yeah.
Is that the reason why SOSMULA was really cool with 6ix9ine. He grew up with him. Like, he basically gave him his style.
Yeah.
Basically what happened was that whole pedophile incident that happened with that nigga, it happened at SOSMULA's trap house. I personally ended up falling off with SOSMULA because of the fact that I had opened up for 6ix9ine and my people are like cool with 6ix9ine's people. I mean, fuck, we're both Mexican.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, the circle ain't too far out there.
Another one we can't really make a true decision on, so we'll just say no point. The next collaborator to beef with Sos was a man named Rico Sama. The two would make a song together called Red Rum. After that, Rick would get locked up and SOSMULA wouldn't keep contact with him. Rick was pretty upset about this, and after he was released, he would actually call Mula a fake blood. He tried to get Sos's attention over and over again in the DMs, but Sos continued to ignore him. This would lead Rick to delete the track that the two of them had together. Another reason that Sos was getting under Rick's skin is he had actually sold him an old verse that he had used in prior collaborations. Not gonna lie, that's a pretty shitty thing for Sos to do and definitely doesn't put him in the best light, but at the same time, Reek definitely could have handled the situation better, so I'm just going to give a half point to Sos. Next up, we got Skinny from the Nine. The beef between Skinny from the Nine and SOSMULA was pretty similar to when Lil House Phone would diss City Morgue. Just like Lil House Phone before him, Skinny would attempt to diss their style, but they didn't really take him too seriously, instead deciding to create a piece of clothing with a dead rat on the front to diss both him and 6ix9ine for cooperating with the feds. Point Mula, Skinny is always an L. Squid Nice is another former collaborator of SOSMULA. The two of them would create a track together called Check. Afterwards, Squid Nice would post a snippet of the song to Instagram showing him and Sos in the studio creating the track. After Sos saw this, he would diss Squid Nice and call him a bitch. Squid would later see the comment and lose his mind, dropping multiple Instagram videos just going crazy on SOSMULA. In these videos, he would accuse Sos of beating women, call him a bitch, and just overall completely lose his mind. I'm going to show you one of these videos right now, but there's too many of them to show you them all right now, but if you want me to compile them all into one video and post it, I can definitely do that. Just let me know in the comments below.
Not using them pretty ass guns that you got in your videos, cause them shits is unused. Name out your mouth or I slap it out your mouth, you bitch ass nigga.
Turns out the reason that Sos doesn't mess with Squid Nice is because he actually considers him a snitch. This is because of a prior event where Squid Nice and Burn Kaz, another friend of SOSMULA, were hanging out in a car. Turns out there was a gun in the car and they were speeding, so the cops would pull them over. This led Kaz to freak out as he wasn't able to get caught with a firearm as he was on probation. He would ask Squid Nice if he could take the gun and hide it, but instead Squid Nice got scared, freaked out, and completely ratted out Kaz, which got him locked up again. Kaz is actually still locked up to this day, and SOSMULA considers that Squid Nice's fault. I would say that SOSMULA is the instigator here, but Squid Nice is also a snitch and gave SOSMULA a reason to actually hate him, so I would say half point for Sos. Next up, we got Tony F.A. SOSMULA and Tony F.A. were pretty good friends at one point, dropping 2 tracks together and even calling each other twins from time to time. However, one day Sos would unfollow everyone he knew on Instagram, and he would also clarify that his only true twin was Zion, his manager. This made Tony really upset, leading him to diss Sos. It's unclear if the two are still friends to this day or not, but I would say that Tony definitely overreacted in this situation, so I would say point Sos. Next is Chief Evil, a pretty unknown rapper who had a small connection to SOSMULA. The two of them only really knew of each other through a mutual collaborator known as F6ix. Both Chief Evil and F6ix had the same manager known as Scam Scrooge. He set up a meeting between the two of them, and during this meeting, Chief Evil would ask F6ix for an unreleased SOSMULA verse. The two of them agreed, and they would sell him the verse soon after. He would then release a song called Doo Wop with SOSMULA as a feature. Of course, this was against Mula's permission, and after he saw this, he would expose Chief Evil on Instagram, telling his fans that he had actually stolen the verse. This led Chief Evil to delete his entire online presence and fade away into obscurity. The guy definitely was not cut out to be famous. Can't steal features, sorry Mr. Evil, that's a point for Sos. Next up, we got the legend known as Big Hunty, a man known for his insane bars and absolutely relentless flow. Nah, I'm just kidding, this is actually just a random 16-year-old kid who ended up trying to buy a Mula feature for $3,000. After Mula heard how trash he was, he actually decided to block him. Hunty sent his group of loyal supporters to attack Sos and force him to unblock him, going so far as to change his name to Sleezy Scammer and accuse Sos of ripping him off. Sos would eventually concede and give Hunty his feature, but not before asking him for another $2,000 to pay for the beat. Hunty would eventually pay, and thank God that he did, because the world would be a much worse place right now if Hunty hadn't dropped this absolutely legendary banger. Unfortunately, Hunty has actually quit rap recently, and we can't let an absolute talent like him fade away. I want everyone who watches this video to go to his page and show him love. Tell him Twisted World sent you. I'll leave the link to his new Instagram account in the bio, but seriously, don't be a shithead to this guy. To say Twisted World sent you and that's it. Or don't, you don't have to. I'm not your dad. I mean, Sos was definitely the instigator in this situation, but who could blame him? I'd be scared too if I heard the absolute legendary majesty of Big Hunty on a track. Sos was probably just scared to get bodied. OTL BZ is probably the biggest dumbass on this entire list. He worked closely with Mula for years, even creating an entire mixtape with Sos, but after Mula took to his story to post a statement saying that after his next album he wouldn't work with struggle rappers anymore, TL would decide to take this extremely personally and call Mula out for thinking he's better than him. On top of that, he would also leak 2 fully produced Sos tracks, getting him completely cut off by Sos, as well as getting dropped by his management company for breaking contracts. Basically led him to fall into complete irrelevancy after that point. OTL is a complete idiot. Point Sos. Next up we got Jake Trill, who is one of Sos's producers. They made many tracks together, but after some of Sos's tracks leaked out, he would call out a lot of his producers, blaming them for leaking his shit. Unfortunately, in this situation, Sos is wrong, as many of his tracks were actually leaked by hackers and not producers stabbing him in the back. Sos didn't see it this way though, so he decided to call Trill out, leading the two of them to have a falling out and never work together again. Sorry guys, but unfortunately in this situation, Sos definitely instigated it here, and I understand the anger you have after your tracks get leaked, but this was way overboard, so that's 1 point against Sos. YNCL Kai is a rapper who signed under the Hikari Ultra umbrella. After signing with them, he would eventually get pushed to the side, leading him to become very upset with Sos and Zilla for upstaging him. He would end up talking a lot of shit about both Sos and Zilla for a few months' time until eventually they all went on tour together. This is when things would get violent, when Kai would try to confront Sos on the bus, leading him to knock him out and getting him kicked off the tour and cut off from the label. After this, Righteous P would also diss Kai by posting a picture of him on Instagram having sex in a bus stop. Besides that though, it's kind of hard to say what really happened here, as most of it is probably just some inner label type shit, so Sos wasn't really involved in this besides punching him out, so let's just say that Sos is free from this one. And finally, we have the beef between Sos and Comethazine, which is probably the stupidest of all these situations. Basically, Comethazine would take to his Instagram story to boast about the fact that his new album wasn't going to have any features on it whatsoever. When Sos would see this story, he also claimed that he planned to do the exact same thing with his upcoming album. This would lead Comethazine to call SOSMULA a wannabe 6ix9ine and a rat apologist. SOSMULA would then fire back calling him a goofy, but besides that, it never really went much further. Comethazine is definitely the instigator here, and he's also probably mentally deranged, so let's just give him a break here so he won't break into my house in the middle of the night and kill me in my sleep. Overall, pretty good odds for Sos. For the most part, these beefs weren't caused by him, and if they were, he didn't pour any more gas on the flames. So overall, SOSMULA's reputation seems to be safe. So shout out to SOSMULA, and let's all pray for his ops, because we all know what Big Sleezy can get down to. SOSMULA versus Squid Nice is an insane beef that has never truly been elaborated on in full. It has so many angles, players, and bullshit wrapped around it, it's actually hard to decipher everything that truly went down. But despite all that, that's actually what we're here to do today. I briefly touched on this beef in the many beefs of SOSMULA video I did a couple days ago, but that was before I realized how big this situation actually is. This beef actually involves Zillakami, Xeon, Thrax, and even 6ix9ine all getting pulled into this situation in one way or another. So let's just start from the beginning with the lesser known of these two, Squid Nice, a Staten Island born rapper who blew up in 2017 with his track Trapped by My Lonely. Before he ever had a hit or any noise in the rap game whatsoever, he was just another kid on the streets in New York. Not much is known about his early life besides his connection with a fellow friend and rapper known as Burn Kaz, who will become important later on in the story. The two were friends since childhood and both started rapping around the same time. Burn Kaz got his start with a rap group named 99 Mob with a fellow rapper known as Ground Millie. Meanwhile, Squid Nice was getting connected with a New York manager known as Big Sims. Remember all these names because they will become important later on. It was through this connection with Ground Millie that Burn Kaz was able to meet and become friends with SOSMULA of City Morgue. Squid Nice would see what the two were doing together and become infatuated with City Morgue, messaging them over and over again in hopes of securing a feature, which would eventually happen after paying $300 to hop in the studio with SOSMULA. He would even record a video of them together in the studio recording the track. Afterwards, Squid started to blow up and would get invited to Rolling Loud, where he would once again bump into Zilla and Sos. It seems there might have been a bit of a situation here between the two, which is what you might believe if you've seen other videos on this situation, but from what I can tell, nothing actually happened at Rolling Loud. Both parties would state that they were actually cool with each other at Rolling Loud, and the beef only really started to spark afterwards. It's possible that in late 2017 he still had some loyalty to the Morgue, as he actually took shots at 6ix9ine.
At one point, you went on social media and you made some comments about Tekashi. I guess you said that Gummo sounds like Juvenile's Back That Ass Up, which, when you said it and I listened to it, I said, okay, I could.
Okay, no. Jakuda.
Cuda.
Yeah, and the yeah, and then he did it in the regular song too. On the regular, in the war, yeah, yo, shout out to Tekashi, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know.
He would criticize the song Gummo, Kuda, and Kiki, saying that he didn't really fuck with it, and it's uncertain why exactly he did this. It might have been because of jealousy, it might have been because he was cool with City Morgue and he wanted to gas them up, or it might have just been plain out clout chasing. In my opinion, it's probably the third option. He was probably just trying to get a little bit of buzz off of 6ix9ine, as he was actually blowing up at the time, but 6ix9ine was blowing up to a whole nother level. 6ix9ine would soon after go live on Instagram and reveal a video of Squid Nice getting his ass beat back in high school.
The big crip.
Hey man, I don't really give a fuck. I don't associate with that man no more.
Look, you put B right next to his name, and the first thing to pop up is beat up. Hold on, let's put it like this, right? Look at the big crip. And he didn't get his flag back.
I already seen this video.
Look, his flag on the floor.
Let me tell you.
Which prompted a further response from Squid Nice telling 6ix9ine he'd actually kill his mama.
Up a video from like 3 years ago of a nigga on full mount punching me in my face. But niggas don't know what happened to them niggas afterwards. 6ix9ine, don't do this to yourself, my friend. Come on, Daniel. Come on, Daniel. Damn. I never got into a fight in his life because he runs away from his fights. He's a scary boy, Mr. Daniel Hernandez. I know where your mother stay.
This was pretty embarrassing for Squid Nice and definitely hurt his reputation, because just like Smoke Perp, 6ix9ine, and many other clout chasers, Squid Nice liked to present himself as a big-time tough guy in the streets of New York, so after getting his ass beat by a bunch of kids, it was kind of embarrassing for him. One thing everyone found themselves wondering after this situation is, how did 6ix9ine get his hands on this video? Well, it might have actually came from Squid Nice's day one homie, Burn Kaz, as Squid Nice and Kaz had actually got caught up by the police after speeding, and they were found carrying a weapon. Kaz actually tried to get Squid to hide the gun as he was on probation at the time, and if he got caught with a firearm, he would have had to go to prison again. Squid, of course, wouldn't take this charge and actually ended up completely snitching out Burn Kaz, getting him locked back up for another 6 years.
Because I'm gonna find it.
I don't know,
Okay,
bro.
all right, well, you're in the car, not me. I would have definitely knew if there's a gun in the backseat of my car, whether I was 15 or 11.
Bro, I don't know, bro. You don't gotta be a dickhead to me, bro.
I'm not.
Honestly,
Oh,
bro.
yeah,
I'm not
you
with that
had
shit,
all
bro.
the courtesy for me in the world about 7 minutes ago, right?
I'm not with that shit, bro.
Of course you did.
Honestly, bro. No, bro.
Even to this day, Burn Kaz is still in prison. And of course, not long after this situation took place, news would reach SOSMULA, who would immediately cut Squid Nice off and start ghosting him in the DM. Squid was unaware that the news had actually reached SOSMULA, and he would continue to pester him over and over again, asking when the song would drop between the two. After a couple of months of not getting a response, he would decide to post a snippet on his Instagram page in hopes of getting his fans riled up to ask SOSMULA when the song would actually drop for real. Sos would see this, he would leave a comment under Squid's post calling him out for attempting to clout chase off his name, as well as exposing him for snitching on Burn Kaz. This is when a fan would tag Squid Nice underneath SOSMULA's comment, and after Squid Nice seen this, he would take to his story to call it SOSMULA.
Y'all niggas always know I'm outside. Y'all niggas never be outside.
That's your homie?
Just for your fucking music videos. That shit is all fucking gimmick in the game. Stop playing with me, nigga. Keep my fucking name out your fucking mouth.
He started off with a little bit of light trolling, posting a picture of himself holding a cat with SOSMULA tagged in attempts to call SOSMULA a pussy. He would then follow that up with another video calling City Morgue fake gangsters.
Y'all niggas is not using them pretty ass guns that you got in your videos, cause them shits is unused.
Sos would fire back, showing DMs between him and Squid, proving Squid was a fanboy of him all along, painting the picture of a man who would do anything he could to try to get in the good graces of SOSMULA. He also showed further proof that he actually had ghosted Squid after he would ask if the song between the two was ever going to drop. It's pretty clear that Squid Nice only really put out the snippet to try to get a response from SOSMULA, which did work, but probably not in the way that he wanted it to. Sos would then bring Zilla into the beef by showing more DMs proving that Squid was actually spamming Zilla as well. And he wouldn't even stop there, as he actually would continue going after Squid, calling him a snitch for the Kaz situation, as well as exposing that Drown Millie also wasn't rocking with Squid anymore, effectively doubling down on the whole snitch narrative. Next was a video that came from Squid's side, claiming he actually had no issue with them at Rolling Loud, and they were only acting tough on the internet but wouldn't say shit in person.
You talking about when I saw you in Rolling Loud? Nigga, I thought it was cool at Rolling Loud. And you over here fucking writing shit on fan pages and shit about me. Keep my name out your mouth, you old, dusty ass nigga. You look like like a Neanderthal, nigga. Like, stop. I didn't do nothing at Rolling Loud, but what did you do, nigga? Just stare at me. You had mad niggas with you that you could have said something. You had a problem with me. I didn't know you had a problem with me. Let me know that shit, you feel me? Coattails of a nigga who's half your age, bro. How do you feel? How do you feel?
You should stop gangbanging. You're too old for that, bro. Stop.
He would then expose a DM conversation between him and SOSMULA where SOSMULA was going completely crazy, basically saying he was going to kill him.
I'm fucking tired of feeling like this. You ready? Yo, I hate you. I swear to my pops. I swear to God. I see you. I'ma violate you. You can suck my dick.
Followed by more videos calling him old, saying he wouldn't touch him. Basic internet gangster BS, you know? He then attempted to clear the snitching allegations by claiming his label got him a big-time lawyer who got him off scot-free, and he didn't actually snitch at all.
I was backed by one of the biggest fucking label executives, and that's who got me my lawyer. Look up who Scott Lehman is. Ain't nobody rat on nothing, bro.
Immediately followed up by more gangster talk and so on. Sos would immediately clap back by reposting the video of Squid catching a case of the beats back in high school, which if you remember correctly was actually the video that 6ix9ine would expose in the earlier on beef a couple years before this point. Followed that up by a second previously unseen video of Squid getting his ass beat.
Nigga, Squid Nice is pussy, my nigga. He's pussy, my nigga. Nigga from Ricky, my nigga. Yeah, nigga. Nigga, what's up, my nigga? Nigga, ain't crip, my nigga. You know, nigga, for your sex, pussy ass nigga.
Of course, being the savvy businessman that he was, he would actually try to use all this beef as an opportunity to promote his new shirt, the Rat Killer shirt. Originally, City Morgue was trying to promote this shirt by going after 6ix9ine, but with a new snitch in the picture, they had a golden opportunity to expose a different type of rat. Funnily enough, they would also promote this shirt by going after Skinny from the 9 later on, who actually had a beef with Squid Nice, which will be coming in a later video, so stay tuned for that. Zilla would then hop into this beef by saying that if Squid wanted some smoke, he could have pulled up and did something at one of their shows, followed by a story claiming that he was actually going to shoot a music video in Squid Nice's hometown, just to prove that he actually had more fans in Squid Nice's hometown than Squid Nice did. Squid Nice wouldn't really respond to this directly, instead calling Sos a female and trying to discredit him for exposing private DMs, even though he did the exact same thing.
You are a whole female posting DMs that you did unsent your own messages, and you're over 30 years old? Come on, man.
This whole situation is starting to sound like some random YouTube drama at this point. Of course, he once again took the chance to call SOSMULA old for probably about the 4th time. Squid would then post a video of himself and Kaz in the car, cutting it to make it look like he wasn't a snitch for some reason, even though this didn't really prove anything one way or the other.
Get him. Don't disrespect Squid, man. No.
I think after all that, things would start to cool off, but of course, SOSMULA's manager Zeong just couldn't help but get involved as well. He would take to his Instagram to expose that he actually saw Squid at a party and that he didn't do shit to him in person or even say anything for that matter.
Yo, if I'm lying, I'm flying. I seen you at Joey album release party. You can ask all the Crips, you can ask underachievers, flatbed zombies. I told you, nigga, ain't shit cracking, nigga. You ain't want no smoke. Your security guard was there. My son homie almost took your flag off your neck.
Zilla wasn't done either, as he would actually call Burn Kaz in jail so people could hear right from the horse's mouth what had actually gone down between the two. After that video, Zilla would back off from the beef, getting one final blow in, claiming that Squid was actually the police and he wasn't about to get caught up for screaming into his phone. Squid Nice, however, had some more shit to say, calling Zeon a fake for switching sets. He actually went from being a Crip to a Blood. Because of that, it's led some people to think that this whole beef is gang motivated, but in reality, it's actually not. This is just an attempt by Squid Nice to try to discredit Zeon and SOSMULA. It's true that they actually did switch sets previously, but in New York, from what I've heard, the culture just isn't like that. People switch sets all the time, and it's no big thing. Besides, Squid Nice isn't a gangster either way you slice it. He's just like 6ix9ine. He's basically a civilian rapper who started jacking a gang just to try to get a little bit of clout in the rap game. His manager Big Smiz is a Crip, but Squid Nice himself is not. This is the main reason why people consider Squid a snitch. I'm not going to get into the whole snitching politics because I'm a white boy Canadian kid living in the sticks, so my opinion on the matter really doesn't matter whatsoever, but this is the logic that both Sos and Zeon are moving on. Squid would follow this up by claiming he wanted Kaz free so he could actually beat his ass. However, to this day, 4 years later, Kaz still is locked up and Squid still hasn't given anyone a beatdown. The whole situation mostly took place online, not really bleeding into real life all that much, as neither side was really willing to go down for some internet shit. Imagine sitting in jail for 3 years because you beat somebody up because they said some shit about you on Instagram. That's pretty well it for this entire video, but I did actually message Squid Nice to try to ask him his whole side of the situation. He hasn't responded to me yet, but if he does, I will edit it in at the end. Take from that what you will. I hope you all enjoyed this video and you make your own decision on the situation. I'm not here to pick sides, just here to lay it all out for you, so don't shoot the the messenger, please. With that all said, thank you guys so much for watching. Shout out Knife Gang. If you watched to the end of this video, leave a knife emoji in the comments below. If you want to be really cool, you can also subscribe if you want to. Things have been going really good around here lately. We just passed 1,000 subscribers and we're already on our way to 2,000 subscribers, so that's our next goal. So if you want to help me reach that, that'd be cool. If not, that's okay too. Just most of all, thank you for watching. Bye bye.